Alright, Chucklefucks. It's Rav Sucks on the mic. This is a video about Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super and maybe Dragon Ball GT. This is the first time I've ever recorded a video essay while drunk, so let's get into it. There's a million videos like this on YouTube. I'm not the first person to make this point. You've probably heard many nerds rambling about Dragon Ball before. But I still, I get very passionate and angry about it. So for this fine April Fool's Day of April 1st, 2026, I've decided to ramble about this thing that I've wanted to make a video on for so long. Oh, man. I downed half a bottle of Malibu rum. Anyway. Let's get serious. I love the power scaling Dragon Ball Z, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, the power levels ruined it because people are obsessed with numbers of, oh, my number's higher than yours and your number's lower than mine, so you can't win unless you pull out a transformation that can raise your number. And yeah, I can see that in a bit. I'm a sucker for the trope where a character that's not necessarily stronger than someone, but they pull out a skill that the opponent doesn't have a counter for. Like, okay, well, you are strong, but I have magic. I have, illusion magic, and if you can't see what you're hitting, you're not going to be able to defeat me. So I like in media when, stuff is not reliant on power levels, but is reliant on just skill, or reliant on just, one ability triumphing over the other. That is cool. But still, for what it is, the story was told well enough that I didn't really have a problem with it being a very linear power scaling type medium, and plus after the Frieza saga, actually measuring power levels dropped off. What I liked about Dragon Ball Z, well, sort of a similar thing I liked about Kung Fu Panda. When you introduce new threats, you need to have a good reason why they're stronger than the previous threat. A reasonable excuse why they are the most pressing threat at the moment. And then you introduce the next threat, and it's okay, well, the heroes have scaled enough in some way to beat the previous threat. So you have to have a good excuse for why they can't beat this threat, and why they have to train, or why they have to find some mystical sword or amulet to defeat them. Why there needs to be some sort of arc, some sort of hero's journey to defeat the next opponent down the chain. And Dragon Ball Z does this well, and I assume, from what I know through just seeing people talk about the arcs, Dragon Ball also does this well. Dragon Ball Z has a understandable explanation why you can have each of the villains be like, they are the most premier threat, they are the most powerful threat in existence, and it doesn't invalidate the older villain. For example, you have Vegeta come in. Goku's defeated the strongest fighters on Earth, but Vegeta comes in and he's outside the context of Earth. He's an alien. He's the epitome of all Saiyans. So whatever Goku is, Vegeta's the strongest of them. You have a good reason why Vegeta's stronger than Piccolo is you've had Goku fight all these Earthbound threats, but now here's something literally outside the context of the story. You move to Frieza and okay, well, you dealt with one alien, but who's the strongest of his race, but now you're dealing with Frieza, the cream of the crop, the emperor of the universe, the scariest being of all time. And then you bring in the androids, who were specifically designed based on previous data to scale to match Goku. Then you get to Cell, who is also outside the context, not in terms of being from another planet, but being from the future. So yes, of course, Frieza was the strongest fighter of today, the fucking Jujutsu Kaisen meme, the, strongest fighter of today versus the strongest fighter of the future, Cell. Cell literally is made from Frieza and Saiyan DNA, so Cell was genetically engineered to be stronger. So how do you top Cell, who was designed to be the strongest being in the universe, to constantly exponentially get stronger as Goku did? You bring in Boo. He's from the past, but he's this ancient, eldritch, evil magic force. Going back to the Kung Fu Panda example, I can't remember the quote, but there was some quote somewhere. I'm doing all this, by the way, live. I didn't do any research for this video. This is just all off the dome. Kung Fu Panda, you have each villain present a different type of threat. Tai Lung is a physical threat. Shin is a strategic and technological threat. And then Kai is a magical threat. Each time you introduce a not necessarily a stronger villain, but a different type of threat to the protagonist. Po had to get strong to face Tai Lung. He had to overcome his trauma to face Shin and find inner peace. And then he had to learn his own people's mystical arts to defeat Kai. Boo kind of have some of that in terms of providing a mystical threat. He's this ancient force sealed away however many thousands, millions of years ago. It doesn't invalidate Frieza as the strongest force in the universe because, yeah, Boo was sealed away that whole time. It makes sense with each of the main villains of these sagas that they are stronger than the other because it doesn't invalidate the threat that the older ones pose. The heroes can continuously get stronger and continuously face stronger threats, but it doesn't make the old villains obsolete. But then you get into Super, and the first arc of Super does this well, because they introduce, okay, here's the god that's his job is to be strong. You get Beerus, the god of destruction. But here's the problem. The end of that arc has Goku unlock this Super Saiyan god form, which, as a temporary form would have been fine, but it's like, oh, well, he absorbs the strength of that form into his normal base state. At this point, Goku is capable of fighting Majin Buu. And now you've gotten this form that can't match Beerus exactly, but is getting there. Even if they retconned it in the anime to be 10%, he's getting there. He's getting up there. Resurrection F, they introduce, oh yeah, he's just mastered the form by now. He can just naturally call on the God Key. And so at this point, Goku is, let's say he's 10% as strong as Beerus. That's still an incredible power leap. Now, naturally, in Super, every threat you introduce has to match that power level. It has to be stronger than 10% of Beerus, which also means that they're stronger than Majin Buu, and they're stronger than Cell, and they're stronger than Frieza. So they're stronger than this eldritch abomination that could break the universe. They're stronger than this ultimate being that was composed of several different races' DNA and was engineered to be the strongest. Stronger than the Emperor of the universe. I'm not the first to say it, but that makes it kind of bullshit when they introduce threats that shouldn't logically be stronger than all of these. Namely, and I'm sure you can see where this is going, when they introduce the characters from other universes. There is no reason that a Hitman from Universe 6 should be comparable in strength to someone that can fight gods. You're telling me that this random time-stopping Hitman, if you took him to Universe 7, you took him back in time, that he could fight, that he could one-tap Frieza, he could one-tap Cell. Is that what you're telling me? That is why I hate Super so much with a burning passion.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
When you reach this level in power scaling that the only way to top what you've done is with literal gods, you can't introduce these opponents that should be, maybe not street tier level, but should be much lower level. If you make them more powerful or as powerful or even comparable to your protagonist, nothing fucking makes sense anymore. These Universe 7 Saiyans should be able to one-tap them. They have fought gods, and yet they are having difficulty against these people who just unlocked Super Saiyan because of a back tingle. That makes no goddamn sense. And I don't want to hear the Saiyans are healthier in Universe 6. They have fought gods. You can't make up some evolution like, they were a more peaceful race, and so they didn't, their growth wasn't stunted. Like, shut the hell up. They've been fighting literal gods. I will always say that Super is bad fanfiction with good execution. It at least had Toriyama behind it. It at least had, more support, more merchandise, more hype. But GT is good fanfiction with bad execution. They had such good concepts. They had such good writing on paper, but when it came to the actual anime, they just couldn't follow up on it. If it had nothing else, it had that each villain made sense why they were where they were in the power scaling sequence, why they were there in the story. Why can Baby fight Goku? Because he is possessing Vegeta. Kind of an existential threat. You can't really kill everyone that Baby's possessing because they're your friends and family. It makes sense, kind of. I mean, maybe not really why Super 17 is a threat, but most of the villains are fodder in the Super 17 arc. You know, it was a quick arc, so, you know, that makes sense why. Didn't take him that long to kill Super 17, because Super 17, even being fused, wasn't going to scale that high. But then you have the Shadow Dragons, and that's such a cool concept, that the consequences of having no consequences for years. And it makes sense that this mystical wish-granting dragon that has been bringing millions, maybe billions of people to life, has absorbed all this mystical energy. It's such a cool concept that the final boss of Dragon Ball, stupid as it sounds, is the Dragon Balls itself. Like, I can accept Omega, like, compared to Jiren, some random fuck in a superhero costume, you know, I can accept Omega Shinron being that powerful because thematically it just makes sense. Compared to some random fucking nobody in tights, it makes sense, god damn it. It feels satisfying. GT is a more satisfying story than Dragon Ball Super could ever hope to be. And I haven't read the manga. I haven't read past the Tournament of Power, really. But, you know, I've seen the slander. I've seen Twitter. Moro, maybe they're getting better because, you know, Moro being a mystical threat, that's interesting. I don't know enough about him to really speak on him. The Granola arc, like them wishing to be stronger, like, okay. Dragon Ball Super Broly, I can't really hate on it too much because it's such a well-written movie. It was such a fun, you know, well-animated, fun movie to watch. It was a formative experience for me, and I really can't hate on it too much. But him fighting random aliens is not comparable. The power scaling in that movie was so terrible. Broly should not be able to match these guys. But, you know, you're not going to a Broly movie expecting intelligent power scaling. You're going expecting dumb fun because it's Broly. He's just strong because he is. Dragon Ball Super, I watched a few clips from it. That was bullshit through and through. Gohan just getting a new form because the fans wanted it, because the fans want Gohan. Gohan had one main character moment, and Dragon Ball Super was just about milking that. They brought back his old op just so that he could kill him again. Just because, oh, remember when Gohan was cool? Remember when Gohan was the main character? Like, you shut the fuck up. Gohan Beast is such bullshit. And you know it. We all know it. You're just Gohan fans that want to cope. They want to cope by pretending that he's cool, that he still is on top of it. Just let the man retire. Let the man study fucking ants. God. You can't just jump people up. People who have never trained, who never fought Broly, they never fight Goku Black, they never fought any of these people. You can't just jump them up the power scale like this and be like, oh, well, they had one thing and now they scale to Goku and Vegeta. If we're writing some bullshit anyway, write better bullshit, man. Write some better bullshit. And then Cell Max, I'm not going to go into Cell Max. Cell Max speaks for itself. Cell Max is just, it's a spit in the face. If you liked Cell Max, if you showed up to the theater and you were like, oh my god, Gohan's going to fight Cell again. I don't want to say yourself, but like, that feels like some Super Dragon Ball Heroes bullshit. Speaking of which, the elephant in the room that I haven't addressed, fucking Frieza, fucking Golden Frieza. You know, and I love Frieza. For a long time, Frieza was my favorite. Man, what a stupid fucking arc. I wish they had just, like, established, like, oh, he's been training for years. Like, he's been back for years. And he's just been training this whole time. That would make more sense. That would instantly improve that movie/arc. There's no tension in the arc. There's tension in the Beerus arc because we could actually die to this guy if he doesn't like us. But literally, the Earth gets blown up and Whis just reverses it. There's no consequences, no stakes. You know that Frieza's just going to be dead in the ground. It's just a Frieza humiliation ritual. If anyone worth their salt from Universe 6 can, if you sent them back in time, could just one-tap the verse of Universe 7, what were we fighting for? Like, makes everyone feel like a bitch in comparison. What was all this for then? If Base Kaba comes back and, like, his finger annihilates Frieza, what was this all for, man? It just feels like ants fighting over a fucking Dorito, man. Toriyama forgot, Toyotaro forgot how to scale good villains. Maybe it's just nostalgia, but I remember Dragon Ball Z being somewhat well written. I was invested. Even if I could see the spoilers, I was on the edge of my seat in some areas, wanting to know what would happen next, wanting to see the result of that fight. And even if I knew Cell would eventually die, seeing every twist and turn in that fight was insane. Dragon Ball has never been the pinnacle of good writing, but it's been better than this. You've got to admit, it's been better than this. And if you were just here for the fan service, you are no better than a Star Wars fan. You are no better than a Marvel fan. I mean, wake up and smell the fucking fentanyl, people. And it makes me sad that we've gotten to the point that we are just sucking so much dick that we are willing to accept anything. That we were willing to accept that this guy, this bald bastard, Jiren, just comes in and for no reason he's just stronger than everyone, and that's just the way it is. That's just what we accept. That's just fact. That's just the way we live. Jiren is just stronger than everyone else in the verse, and that's fine. And I don't even blame Toriyama for that. I know that Toriyama is a better writer than that, and I refuse to blame Jiren on him. And this is coming from someone who hasn't watched the movie, so maybe I'm biased, maybe I'm stupid, maybe I'm naive, maybe I didn't watch Dragon Ball. But Cell Max, really? Is that the best you can do? It was a shot-for-shot remake of the fight. Gohan can do more than just relive his glory days, man. Fuck. That's enough for tonight. This script is almost 40 fucking minutes long. Get out of my sight. I love you all. Happy April Fool's Day, bitches.